During the COVID-19 lockdowns, Dragonchain teamed up with Medic Health to provide a solution to allow businesses to reopen. Using decentralized identity, individuals can prove test results without exposing health data to anyone other than their doctor. The privacy-focused and HIPAA-compliant solution was created in only 15 days from concept to operational system.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky episode 0x3C. It's the 61st episode. During the show only, while we're on, unless we forget to turn it off at the end, you can get 10% off any merch order you put in. There's no minimum, nothing else, and you can get a lovely Pepe sticker and other things. So let's see here. We're going to go first. By the way, Rocco, how's it going? Sorry. I'm
doing good. How are we doing today?
I'm all right. How's the weather?
Florida? It's beautiful in Florida today, actually. A little hot, but I love it. It's better than the cold.
I can say it's sunny here. There's no overcast and there's no smoke.
There you go.
Yep. It's like rain melts the Antifa stuff. Anyway, let's see here. The first thing up is the Kucoin Hack. Basically, this is, I think, the first major hack that Dragon tokens have been directly involved in. And it's somewhat interesting because there were 26 million dragons as part of the, what was stolen. And, we've been talking, obviously, to KuCoin, and they're asking us what we can do. And, we don't have a pause feature. We don't have a burn feature purposely in the contract. We don't have any ways to do blacklisting in the contract on purpose. And philosophically, that's the reason a lot of people have asked. But most of the community kind of knows that it's, that's our philosophy, that it's, you don't want to keep your tokens on the exchange. And in fact, that's why we originally created the Dragon Slumber Score, the Dragon Days of Slumber Score, and then now it's called Time, because we wanted to incentivize people in the ecosystem to own the actual keys that are holding their dragons, right? That it's we didn't want people holding them on exchanges, because if you think even back then, 2016, 2017, 2018, how many exchanges were compromised and people's tokens is something we knew would be happening. So we do think largely that most of our users weren't affected, and KuCoin does have insurance apparently, and has said that they are going to compensate one way or another. We're hoping they give them Dragon tokens, but from their cold wallet, but who knows. Anyway, interesting stuff. Unfortunate, but I think they're doing what they can, and we've blocked the time of that address, which who knows if they would ever use it for that, but they should, right? Or they should want to. Okay. Next up, Den. So Den is going to be coming out probably off beta, or at least things like mobile app, the full token rollout of everything that's been brewing for these many months. And there will be direct rewards for all Dragon holders, that they will get a piece. They'll get lore tokens 1-to-1 for dragons they hold, and those lore tokens are what you need to create lairs, right? So if you need to create a community, think subreddit. You need lore. You create that. There is an ownership piece in lot, right? The white paper will be coming out soon as well, and that's set there. But there will also be, and we mentioned them last week, there will be some DeFi components, specifically with lore and the ability to farm lore. Typically, it'll be connected to Uniswap. It'll be a lot of the normal, typical things, but we're going to end up with some in my opinion, some extremely interesting utility applied, where we have a working system that will have tokens that can be, be used in the DeFi world, but also have utility over on DEN itself. So really fun stuff, really really exciting stuff, I think. But that's coming out, and hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later. We're like working the mobile app. We're trying to time everything so we can roll it out and everyone will be able to use it really quickly. Last segment, number go up, brought to you by FOMO. Okay, so this week we're doing Ethereum. Okay, so basically, how do I say this? FOMO Hunt's a great site, and there's some exciting things going on, and there is no ownership of either Binance or Justin Sun. So there's positives there, right? And so last week, number go down, right? And we all, things have been happening and not happening on Ethereum, and hopefully everything's good. But the analyst forecast is still number go up. Okay, so simple as this is. And by the way, this segment, though brought to you by FOMO Hunt, they're not paying us in any way. So we just have them there. Okay, that's the end of the all of the stuff we needed to announce. So we're gonna be right back with our guests right after this.
There is no reason anyone would want a computer in their home. Bitcoin is probably rat poison squared.
All right, we're back with Larry and Leah. So Larry Sanger, co-founder of Wikipedia, and some very interesting angles on the technology and how it's applied today. And I want to get into some of that. It's been amazing. And Leah Thompson, Girl Gone Crypto.
Hello.
So, welcome to the show, you guys. Larry, tell us about yourself.
Well, what should I say? I have a PhD in philosophy. I grew up in Alaska. I've got a couple of kids, all in no particular order, and I homeschool them. I'm a big supporter of freedom and also morality. So I guess I'm a conservatarian. The thing that I'm working on now, the headline, I guess, is that I've received funding for basically 1 year of development of the Knowledge Standards Foundation. And we're developing something called the Encyclosphere, which is not an app. It's not a website. It's a network that will do for encyclopedias what the blogosphere and RSS did for blogs, sort of bringing them together so that together they can compete with Wikipedia, essentially.
That's beautiful. That's excellent. Leah, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I run a social channel called Girl Gone Crypto. Yep, you've got it up on the on the screen there. So I have a YouTube channel, very active on Twitter. But basically what I do is I make content that is related to cryptocurrency. So I interview various founders and CEOs of different projects. I recently got to interview you and have Dragonchain on the show, so that'll be getting posted here in the coming weeks. But yeah, just make lots of different types of content around cryptocurrency and education, and try to keep it fun too. Try to make crypto Twitter a fun place to hang out.
Yes, you're a much better interviewer than I am, so be prepared. And so thanks. So first topic: can blockchain save the integrity of elections? Right. So there's about of course, mail-in ballots, all types of concerns. all types of concerns with, with lots of fraud and identity, all of which what the crypto world deals with, right? So Leah, where do you think, at least, what's the answer here? Is it doable? And not this year, of course, but.
Yeah, might be a little bit late for this year. But yeah, I mean, I think generally when people talk about various potential use cases for blockchain technology, I feel like elections and voting is one that comes up a lot. And the reason for that is because it actually would help things, right? Like we have people dropping off ballots for deceased family members. We have a lot of voter fraud that happens here in the United States. And so having something where it can actually be verified on the blockchain and there's one version of the truth and it's not really disputable, I think could go a really long way in helping to reduce voter fraud. Now, which blockchain protocol or which project is best suited for that, I don't know. But just from a general high level perspective, yes, I think this could be a good use case.
Yep. Everything's there to do it. Like the identity components, the state components, the transparency. So what do you think, Larry? What do you think broadly even?
Well, I think it makes some sense. My worry, obviously, is with the security, the problems with, voter fraud, like, for example, selling votes could be done and maybe even made easier with blockchain. There's problems about hacking any sort of collections of particular of databases of results and things like that. Actually making it happen would be, and really secure, that sounds really hard. And that's the thing that would that would give me pause. The other thing is I think we're seeing now in this election cycle just how important it is for people to be there in person, or at least a lot of people to be there in person, because we're just thinking through and actually seeing news about all the different ways, the things that can go wrong if we try to vote at a distance and there isn't a connection between a person and a vote. And the best evidence that there is a person is when that person shows up. Now, the cool thing I think would be to somehow attach an unique ID to a person and to a vote, and so that you would be able to see what your vote is later, and only you, and see what was recorded. So it could be a useful recording mechanism to keep the thing more honest. If it could make elections more honest, then I would go for it.
Yeah, because that's my thing. If you can have a sufficient identity system where it is decentralized and where you have some level of real world verification that we know that this person is the real person and lives in that district that they're eligible to vote for, they're of age, all the other eligibility requirements. If you could have those stored in a way that the user can look at the chain and they can say, okay, that's my vote. And we've only been here in Washington State for 5 years or something, but I was surprised. Okay, it's all mail in, but and they give you a little thing you can check. Oh, your vote was counted, but it's like, well, wait a minute, how did you count it? Right? That's my biggest fear. That we're counting it. Obviously, we're going to count it. We don't have to go and pay for it otherwise. But the problem is, if I could actually see on chain that it legitimately was counted the way I intended, number one, and anybody else in the world could look at the entire data set and do a full audit, right? Anybody could audit the election and it would be like that, and provable with whatever. So that's our angle on it, but it requires the identity piece and it requires the blockchain with whatever other proofing. You can't just put it on a central chain or anything. But anyway, next up, Netflix documentary Social Dilemma unveils psychological manipulation used by social networks. So Leah, what do you think about this? Does this keep you on Twitter?
I actually have not watched it yet. Isn't that terrible? I know I'm probably the only person that that hasn't. But just from what I've kind of heard from it, it's scary. Like everyone that I've talked to that's watched it has left it being like, oh boy, this is worse than I thought. So yeah, I don't have too much to add, unfortunately, because I haven't watched it. But like I said, I know that I need to, and so this is a good reminder for me to hop on and do that.
Yes. Well, and okay, so Larry, given the surface level, what's behind this in terms of nation state? I mean, if LifeLog existed, is this just a way to fund what LifeLog wanted in Facebook? That it's actually not even a real startup.
I got to tell you, I'm not even familiar with the show. I used to subscribe to Netflix, but then I canceled it over Cuties a couple of weeks ago. So that's, yeah, I can't comment. All I know is that social media does tend to put us in silos and to radicalize us and dumb us down, and yeah, that it could be used for psychological manipulation seems pretty obvious. And I think that people are as evil enough to actually use it that way.
I'll bet it's in fact, social manipulation, not even just trying to get people on for ads. It's pretty crazy. So, okay. Next up. Everyone will use China's digital currency, says Bitcoin and Ethereum startup investor Google. I think it's Chandler Google. What do you think, Larry? Val? Yeah. What do you think?
What?
Yeah.
Why would everyone use China's digital currency? Why would anyone outside of China use China's digital currency? I'm sorry. I have ignorance of this. That's my initial reaction. Please, you're the experts.
What do you think, Leah?
Well, why would anyone use the US dollar? So I guess maybe the thought process. I've seen this article circulating, but I haven't read it. So that's clear. I'm not totally sure what their line of reasoning is within that article, but I guess if they're arguing that the U.S. will no longer be the reserve currency of the world, and let's say that the yen does, and then we're using their digital dollar. Like if that's the thought process they're going through, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But I think that, the U.S. no longer being the reserve currency of the world is a definite possibility at some point in the future. Rome doesn't fall in a day, but it did fall, right? And so I don't know, maybe you guys can shed some light on more like what they were talking about in the article. But yeah, that's kind of interesting.
This is your typical Chinese propaganda that trying to get the people excited. That's what it is. So it's all right.
I love the comment that says it looks like someone has some money invested in China's digital currency. They're writing this.
Let's see here. Next up, we have Vitalik Buterin compares DeFi tokenomics to the Fed's money printer. So given recent criticism of Ethereum supply, is this hypocritical, Leah?
Well, I guess I would have to know exactly like why he was saying that. But in general, I think right now the fact that like it's pretty easy to develop a DeFi coin. Like there's not you don't need a whole lot to put one up, especially since so many of them aren't really audited. Like, I don't know, I've been on some scary websites, y'all, like that are different DeFi coins. And so if that's what he means in the sense that anyone can throw up a token, and then, we saw another big rug pull today last night, I guess, with EMN, right? And so like the fact that you can suddenly have all this liquidity go down to zero is pretty scary. So if he's talking about it from that perspective of like, hey, these people are basically just creating value out of thin air without having any real kind of backing, I think we're in an interesting time with that, because it's like what creates value, right? And so that is interesting and also kind of scary, right? Like there's a lot of these tokens that go all the way to zero real fast. I forget which one it was that went from 30 million to zero in 35 minutes, or maybe it was 60 million to zero, but I don't know if it was hot dog or which one, but
was it?
No,
Wasn't Okay.
Maybe it was yam. I don't know. Anyways, one of the food ones, I'm sure.
Yeah. So Larry, do you think, I don't know if you've been following DeFi at all, but it's the wild west of crypto.
Yeah.
I gotta skip this one. This is an area I quit Everpedia, last September, and I haven't. It's been almost exactly 1 year ago. I've just sort of like fallen out of touch with the whole world. And 1 year ago, nobody was talking about DeFi, or not very many anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it. Sorry, I'm going to sound stupid if I say anything.
That's fine. That's fine. It's like it's just it is crazy stuff now, but some of the models seem to be very valuable. There's some really cool stuff going on in terms of technology wise, and economy wise. That's why we're going to have a piece with some of the stuff we're rolling out soon, where it will touch upon that, because it was a really interesting way to handle governance. Obviously, and we already had some really interesting things to, like, say, when Den rolls out as an example, there's not going to be a CEO, which I'm a very capitalistic guy, but I didn't want to worry about what if the business has a choice, difference between what the community should have and what the business needs. And we know that it needs to be hybrid. It can't be purely decentralized for a bunch of different reasons. But what we're doing is we were already kind of looking towards that, and we're now going to tap into it. So I don't know. It's just a question of how fast will it grow up? How will it attempt to kill itself multiple times before it actually succeeds? So anyway, but it's worth watching a little bit. I haven't traded any, of course, but I do have friends that have. So
I'm getting kind of excited about DeFi. I'll just pipe in for a second. I think that there's a lot of risk involved, but in general, at first, I think a lot of people were saying oh, this is just like the ICO boom of 2017. But I don't think it is. I think this has much deeper roots and a lot more value. I mean, obviously, again, it's very early. There's a lot of scammers. There's a lot of risk. But in general, looking at the overarching potential of these new financial tools, I think is actually very cool, and something that I think is going to help fuel the next bull run. And so just like ICOs kind of helped fuel the last bull run, but it wasn't overly sustainable, I think that we're going to see DeFi have a little bit more of a runway, where it hopefully is something that just continues to grow deeper roots over the years.
I hope they get more utility in it. That's going to be a key thing, where it's not just for purposes of DeFi for DeFi purpose to generate new coins. It would be, I'm going to generate new coins to do something, and there's a reason to generate the new coins other than just the very short speculative cycle. So anyway, next up we have European Commission unveiling plans for a blockchain regulatory sandbox. What they are considering, if it follows plans, I have no idea if the EU is going to survive 2020, but they're expecting it to be the largest crypto hub. So my question, Larry, will this save Europe?
Yeah, I don't think so. Wow. I'll tell you, I am not up on the latest on blockchain stuff, so I'll tell you my first honest impression of this. What has taken them so long to do any sort of regulation? It's just surprising. And now they're talking about a blockchain regulatory sandbox. Really? Just a sandbox? Okay.
You know what it is? It is, in my opinion, this is just me talking, but most of the cycles, at least with the US and in Europe as well, have been really based upon the bankers being scared of Bitcoin, so attacking it in all different, really interesting ways.
Yeah.
And then the VCs, after 2017, being scared of the ICOs, and then going and lobbying the heck out of the SEC. And that's what killed the market, in all truth, last time. Because once everyone caught wind of it, all the investors are like, okay, I'm out. I'm going to go over. I'm going to cash out, go over here, and just wait. And Europe trying to do various things. I imagine at the same time, you have all those negatives, but it's always going to be this hydra that you can't stop. So the the nation states have to compete. They're gonna pick it up, but
it all depends on what the regulations are, I imagine.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think, Leah, on this? What, European? I mean, it's already different rules over there anyway.
Right. Well, I think that, just in general, when we're looking at regulations in the world of blockchain, I love what you just said about how it's a fire hose that you can't stop. But it's really true. Like, there will be more and more regulation happening here in the US, obviously over in Europe, in Russia. We've seen this last week, a lot of potential crackdowns on taxation and regulation and reporting of crypto. So around the world, I think governments are starting to realize, hey, this isn't something that is just, random money for nerds anymore. This is becoming a force that needs to be dealt with. And so they are going to start layering on more and more regulations. But that's where this space is some of the most innovative in the entire world. We have some of the most brilliant minds in tech working in the blockchain industry, and we just continue to see those innovations roll out, right? And so DEXs have become incredibly popular, right, in the last few years. Privacy coins have. So I think as we start to see more regulation, that'll be good in some ways, because that'll open the door for more enterprises and large companies to feel safe entering into the space and potentially purchasing more of these currencies to hold as their reserve, or using blockchain technology to improve their business functions. But I also think then on the other end of that, for the people that really value that kind of more that anonymity, that privacy, that freedom, there's going to be more and more tools that feed to that consumer that I think, eventually the regulators will keep trying to chip away at. But I guess I think it'll just constantly be a little bit of a chase.
Yep. Did I mention that we convinced Disney to have a Bitcoin node in 2016? And I had to fund it. I had to put the Bitcoin in, but
It's amazing.
it worked. Pretty cool. Okay. Bitcoin sets a record 63 straight days above $10,000, which is funny because it's everything's priced in dollars. But anyway, it's Bitcoin. So are we going up or down from here, Leah?
Well, I generally don't do a lot of technical analysis or price predictions, if you will, but September is traditionally one of Bitcoin's worst performing months. Usually it's a really low month for Bitcoin. And so the fact that we haven't really dipped below 10K, I mean, we did briefly, but we haven't closed a day below 10K, not only just this whole month, but the last, 2 months is super bullish. And so I'm feeling kind of excited right now that, we'll see what Q4 holds. We'll see what next year holds. I don't know. Like I said, I don't like to do exact price predictions, but I think that this all looks really bullish from my perspective.
Good. And Larry, I mean, you might not care. But,
I would just ask a question to you. What's going to happen after November 3rd to the price? I wonder if this trend is related to the election and to uncertainty. Are people actually using it as a store of relatively stable value?
Yeah. Well, and the fact you think about it, it's not just the election. It is everything that ties into the election. It is such a complex thing. And this is worse than before. Any time that it's like anything could happen. So it totally depends on that. If an EMP goes off, then what happens to the price of Bitcoin? I don't know. Does it just freeze? Does it just stay there until everything comes back? Or I don't know. Anyway, okay. That was good though. Okay, so next up, the Trump and Biden debate #1 is tonight, right? This is going to be extremely interesting because I really doubted that this was going to actually happen up until yesterday, right? So, for each of you, okay. So Larry first, what issue do you want to hear them debate tonight? What's the most important thing?
Wow, I'd be very curious to have their takes on the response to the riots, basically. That I think a lot of people are, a lot of swing voters are potentially going to vote about that. women, suburban voters, and others. And so it'll be very interesting to see what they have to say about, whether Trump should have called out the guard more, but he didn't. He sort of let the locals take care of it, and therefore take the blame. I can easily imagine how Trump will accuse Biden basically of doing much too little with his platform by way of restraining the violence and destruction.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, it's interesting.
All right, Leah, what's your response to this?
Well, I'm going to have to get my popcorn ready after this to go watch the debate. But yeah, I think in general, it's easy for the person who wasn't in office to say how they would have handled things, but we don't know if that's true or not, right? And so what I would be really interested in hearing from them is kind of on the more like the future perspective of how are we going to kind of reopen the economy? Like, what is the plan here? And so I think that would be super interesting to hear them debate. Full disclosure, I'm not planning to vote for either of them, but but it would be interesting to hear their different perspectives on how they think that we can help get the economy back open, because right now it's been pretty much left up to the states. Is that good? Is that not? There's all of these variables within that, but just to hear their perspectives, I think would be really interesting.
Very good. And you're in Seattle, so you have to be very, very careful.
Yes, you know what that's
already
like.
Retweeted this. I'm across the lake, so and people are generally scared of me, so I can say stuff. They never say anything.
Because you have a pet dragon.
Maybe, I don't know. I think it's because of our community. They'll attack them one way or another. The next, so from that same thing, of the issues that will come up, what do you care least about, Leah?
Oh gosh. Well, I don't know. What are some of the issues that we know will come up? I don't know. I haven't thought about
there's
that.
There's 2 questions in that, right? But yeah.
Right.
What's the least significant thing that they're going to go through just to waste time in the debate?
Oh gosh. Well, I think the whole debate's probably a waste of time, but I'm going to watch it anyway. So I don't know. I really don't buy into the whole 2-party system model in general. Like, I definitely come from more of the libertarian / maybe even anarchist perspective, where I just think that they're both offering a lot of lip service. If we look at the trajectory of the last, 20 years, similar things have happened every presidency. We've gotten deeper in debt. We've gone to war. We've done all these different things. And so I don't have a lot of faith that whatever these candidates say they're going to do is necessarily true anyway. I more watch it just for kicks, but I've generally end up voting third party in these kinds of situations. So
yeah, I wish there were more parties. Okay, so Larry, what would you because you'll probably assume what they're going to talk about. I don't even know, but I'm sure they're going to talk about something that will bore the heck out of me.
I don't know. I guess I find everything intensely interesting myself, frankly. I don't know, maybe something having to do with health insurance, although that's pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, because there's a lot of money and there's that's very important.
So I can't tell you. God, I can't think of a thing that people talk about that isn't like that 20 years ago wouldn't be the center of attention, earth-shattering. Like, for example, a guaranteed minimum income, or funding, making free university education.
Yes.
Or the very idea of requiring everyone in the country to wear masks, or at least, well, maybe not Florida, but
right. You're nodding over there.
Brock was not wearing a mask.
I'm sure there's something.
A lot of people aren't.
I will tell you, I met a person at the local grocery store when he and I were the only people out of hundreds in there with no masks on. And it was hilarious. So it was the story that happened after it, because these people were flipping him off, and it was crazy, And it was anyway. It's just when everybody's wearing a mask, you see the one person that isn't. It's pretty crazy. So I wanted to introduce also. There's something I found on 4chan, the Trump Biden debate 1 drinking game, and so
oh no.
take a sip if Trump says China, tremendous voter fraud, COVID success, or law and order, and the same if Biden says here's the deal, fact of the matter is taxes, racism, diversity, or in particular a folksy voter story. That's going to be the best part. They don't have Come On Man in here. That's the thing that surprised me most.
It's still going.
if Russia or socialism comes up, and then finish your drink if Israel, threat to democracy, or arguing with a moderator happens.
You'd be hammered in 5 minutes.
And then if he mentions Creepy Joe or Nazi, one of the candidates faints, speaks another language, or mentions QAnon. And it's like, this is brilliant. And I don't think it's, I think even some of the comments on 4chan that this game's not survivable. It'll be funny though. Okay, so next up, the last question, and we're doing really good on time. You guys are really, really quick with the answers. This is great. Better than normal. What happens? We have 2020. So what happens in 2020? So I'm going to give you a list, and you pick one. Okay. All right. Bitcoin to 50,000. Okay. Might or might not happen. Ethereum to 2,500. Dragons to $1. I'm making no predictions there, by the way. So
not financial advice.
I don't have any of that stuff memorized. So thank you. And then a second deadlier, or supposedly deadlier, or announced deadlier coronavirus or Wu flu. Okay. Major election fraud, violence goes to the courts. Will it be an even split on the Supreme Court? Who knows? Things like that. The amount of tension building up is crazy. Massive terrorist attacks. Okay. Or US dollar flipped to treasury note back to gold standard.
Well, I'd hope for the last one.
Last one. Aliens. Sorry, it was below the fold on my thing. So aliens is the last choice. So which one are you guys preparing for, Leah?
Oh man, well, didn't we already get aliens? Wasn't there something about a flying saucer earlier this year?
It's all foreshadowing. I think the reason a lot of people, the reason my son thinks it's aliens is because it's all the press is just covered in new alien discoveries. So
well, I wish that it was any of the price predictions that you gave, although end of 2020 is maybe a little ambitious, but except for Dragon, of course, this is financial advice. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I think that the most likely in that whole bunch is some other disease. We're heading into flu season. People are going to be getting scared again, thinking, I feel like of everything, that might be the most reasonable that might happen.
Right. All right. Going with Wu flu. Larry, what do you think? I can read it too if you need. Sorry, it was a long list.
Right. I think the voter fraud thing is it's already starting to happen. There's already evidence of it, and even if it doesn't happen, or at least no one can prove it to the other side significantly, there's already plans in place to litigate it afterwards and sort of draw it out. I mean, Hillary Clinton, for example, saying don't concede even if he seems to win in a landslide, because when all the votes are really properly counted, then of course Joe is going to win. How could he not? And we just can't let Trump win. And on the other hand, Trump actually has said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to accept the outcome. the same thing that he said after the first election,
Yeah.
or before the first election, rather. Yeah, it's actually very scary if you ask me. I think a lot of us are worried about this. If there's one thing that could cause even worse riots than what we saw last summer, it would be a Trump win. Trump declaring himself to be the winner, and especially if he wins so decisively that the networks feel themselves compelled to declare him a winner. Although I don't think that's going to happen.
What's it going to take for Zuckerberg?
Any circumstances is that going to happen? They're not going to declare a winner until Joe declares himself a loser or a winner. Then they'll declare the winner.
It's going to be crazy. The truth. I fully expect election fraud, but I expect that to be not the scariest thing that happens at the end of the year. I think it's going to be that they are going to put the voter fraud up, ramp up all the rioting, throw out another coronavirus into the press, and basically say, let's see how the crypto markets are affected. Maybe we'll get all the above, and then aliens. But all of it happens, and then it's like, well, the aliens want Joe. so they'll declare Joe the winner based upon I don't know what stars they come from, but either way. Okay, so Larry, tell everyone where they can buy your book and where they can find what you do and follow you and everything else.
Sure. Well, I guess I'll start with the book. So this is the book. This is my author copy of the book, Essays on Free Knowledge, The Origins of Wikipedia and the New Politics of Knowledge. It's got 12 essays. Several of them are not easy to find, if they can be found at all, online anymore. One of them is brand new, all about the future of the free internet and the necessity of decentralizing the internet, basically. So it's going to be launched October 13th on Amazon, and it's already available now in ebook form on Gumroad. So if you go to Gumroad and search for Essays on Free Knowledge, or just go to my website and there's a link to it there. So my website is larrysanger.org. That's my blog. I've been consulting most of this year, and my other website is sanger.io.
Excellent.
But if you want to follow my new project, which again is basically getting people together, coordinated to create a network of the encyclopedias of the world, a decentralized network. We are doing that. We will be launching the website finally after about a year of development. But it's just an organizational website, right? Because I've been off. I ran out of my runway for the first go. The second go, I've got a year's runway. We're going to be launching the website. The website is encyclosphere.org.
Awesome. I love the whole thought of that. I want to actually talk to you offline, see if we can do anything with that, with you or anything else on that. So, because I think it's brilliant, because it's like, I have, in fact, I didn't know how to sneak them in, but I have very many annoyances with Wikipedia as it is, right? We keep trying to change stuff that it's informational. It's not shilling anything or selling anything, but it keeps getting changed back. And it's stuff about Disney, and we're like, that's not accurate. This is the accurate, and we can't get it to change. And it's like, there's no one you can go to but Wiki Nerds. They don't know what to do about it.
Yeah. It's gotten worse. It used to be hard. It used to be hard for people to just have an impact on what was said on Wikipedia even 15 years ago. But in the last 5 years, it's just been completely locked down in the hands of, as far as I can tell, increasingly small and tightly controlled group of insiders who are operating under the cover of anonymity. And
Are they
one of
funded?
my hobby horses actually is one of my many hobby horses is to have us all demand that Wikipedia require that their administrators, or at least the people who designate the administrators as administrators, the check users, I think is what they're called, that they be identified publicly. They can't be anonymous. They're making decisions about the biggest, most influential encyclopedia in the world. And there is no legal recourse. You can't sue the Wikimedia Foundation because the Wikimedia Foundation is not responsible for the content. They hide behind, the DMCA, right? And then if the people there are like messing with people's reputations, or as they do a lot, then there's no recourse. It's bad.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. I love it. Leah, where can they go? Where can people go to learn more about your channel, what you're doing, what's going on?
Sure. So going to my website is probably the easiest thing to do, because if you scroll to the bottom, it's got all the social links that you can really easily click on. So leahlovescrypto.com. Always going for the cheese factory, you guys. But Leah is just Lea. But yeah, also if you just go straight to Twitter and type in Girl Gone Crypto, or YouTube, pretty much if you type in that anywhere that people hang out online, you'll probably find me. So
there's no H in crypto, right?
Right.
Okay, let's see here. All right, so thanks a bunch for coming on, you guys. That was awesome. Excellent answers. Sorry for my questions. And everybody, watch Super Happy Dragon Lucky again next week, again Tuesday. We'll have some announcements in advance, and like, comment, subscribe, all the normal things you're supposed to do wherever you're at. And see you next week. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Bye. You guys can hang out a little bit after, tell you things.